I still think we are suffering from Tom Brady derangement syndrome when it comes to judging Drake Maye. And there's no question about it, but you watched like Josh Allen today against Miami. You
Right.
watch Lamar Jackson struggle in certain games. Really Patrick Mahomes last game, last Sunday. Really good quarterbacks, the best of this generation, have bad games. Drake Maye has bad moments, and he's yet to have a stinker really since early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And so even these imperfect games are kind of normal. I think we've kind of lost our minds in terms of we're judging him to a ridiculous standard at this point, that when he misses a throw, we're like, what happened? How did he miss that? Well, you're not allowed to miss throws. You're Drake Maye. You're the most accurate quarterback who's ever lived. And again, I know Taylor's got more observations than that, and I'm not trying to take a dig at you necessarily. This was an imperfect game. He came out sloppy, whether it was the rain or just that jacked up thing that he has, first drive itis, where he just overthrows every receiver by 7 to 10 yards. You see that happen, the bad decision-making there on the interception. And a few missed throws, or maybe just holding the ball a little too long a couple times here. It was not perfect, but also he made so many plays that very few people other than Drake Maye could make throughout this game. And some of those throws, Kyle Williams is going to get all that credit for the yak on that 72-yarder. That was a brilliant throw.
Great throw.
Right over the top of the DB who was right on top of him. And he just layers that right over
with
him.
like 3 or 4 guys in his face too.
And a lot of those, so many of the throws he made today, the last one to Hollins, were with pressure closing in. And you had that incredible escapability play where he made there too for the first down as well. So there were some really high level plays, but definitely he left a bunch of stuff on the field as well.
Yeah, and I mean, it's important to remember, I'm talking about like in the conversation of MVP, because yes, you are held to a ridiculous standard as an MVP candidate. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying Drake Maye, the second-year quarterback, oh no, he threw an end zone pick. Like, no, that's stupid. Like, I understand. Josh McDaniels said last week, there are things you're going to have to live with. This was one where it was one of his worst career turnovers, but I could literally see his thought process, because I saw Hunter Henry, I saw Tyke Smith get there, and I was like, Drake, you don't have to do this.
No, don't do it.
And in his defense, he wasn't throwing to Hunter Henry, which is what I thought initially, but not seeing that defender. And like if it's in the second quarter, I'd probably give him a little bit more grace. This was in a huge moment where you didn't have to throw it, and you could have kicked a field goal and still extended your lead. So for me, that was the issue. Was also, it felt like it was more that there were stretches where he struggled, and then moments or brief kind of sparks where it's just like, oh my God, right, it's Drake Maye. He's doing crazy shit on third and forever. Like, I'm not saying I'm down on Drake Maye at all. I just think it's fair to give credit to the rest of the team for helping him out, because the defense helped him out and the run game helped him out. Not the Travion Henderson. I don't know if I can necessarily say the run game exactly, but it was great to see that in another ugly win, they found a way to pull it out that did not involve Drake Maye. And I think that is encouraging, because with this MVP talk, it's like, oh, he's carrying the team, and I think it's fair to say that he is getting help. And now that they're facing better teams in Baker Mayfield, it's not, Dylan Gabriel. I think people could feel more comfortable saying, no, this is a legitimate Super Bowl contender, because the Buccaneers are up there and they just went toe to toe and made big plays when they needed to, even if it wasn't perfect.
And I think that's my biggest takeaway, Taylor, is what you just said there at the end, that this was a big team win, right? Like, everybody played a part and picked up the other half when they were down. Like, again, that interception in the end zone was awful, inexcusable. Like, and there really is no, like, and I get what you're saying, where you did see what he was trying to do, but don't do it. Like, again, situationally, as you mentioned, kick the field goal, go up 3, and call it at that point instead of making it hard on your defense. But the defense, picks themselves up by the bootstraps, makes a couple stops. I really thought Robert Spillane was going to come down with that interception on the tip, which he is. And I was listening to Baker's press conference earlier in the week talking about Robert Spillane is always in the right place at the right time for that defense. And that was it again. Thought he was going to come down with it. But as far as Drake Maye and the MVP conversation goes, like, John, you kind of mentioned it, but like, Josh Allen has a complete stinker all game long today, and they get blown up by the Dolphins. Patrick Mahomes last week comes into last week the favorite, loses to the Bills. Josh Allen becomes the favorite. And then Josh Allen goes and, like I said, has that stinker today. So it's like, it's Drake Maye, it's Jonathan Taylor right now. And if he just doesn't throw that interception on the goal line, he leaves week 10 the outright MVP favorite. I'll
another 100 passer rating. It dropped his passer rating.
Yeah, like I can almost guarantee you that. So while it is unfortunate, I know Drake Maye. I know this team does not care about the MVP award. They care about winning football games. And like you said, being a Super Bowl contender. And even though Tampa came into this game injured and they were down a couple wide receivers, this is still a 6-2 division leading team. And they went in there and they played toe-to-toe with them. It got hard at times. Baker Mayfield has been a fourth quarter merchant, for lack of a better term, and taken his team down and scored touchdowns to win games this year multiple times, and they were able to hold it off and get a win. So while Drake was good at times, like the throw to Hollins to set up that interception was unbelievable.
That's
and then
what I mean.
Unfortunately, he throws it. I'm like, no, don't do that. Like, come on. But we can laugh about it now. It could have been a lot worse. But again, at the end of the day, it's a huge team win.
The whole thing is weird because again, it's amazing how the overall standard has changed, where it's, again, for those of you who are young or new Patriots fans or just forgot because it's been a few years, this is how we covered the good Patriots, the Tom Brady Patriots, which was, again, the Patriots each year would play two meaningful games during the Tom Brady era. That was the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. And then everything else in between was just a long tune-up. And when they didn't play great, you would get pissed off and be like, they're never winning the Super Bowl like that. They only won this game by 2 scores, and that's because that other team turned it over late. That's unsustainable. And that's how you would cover the Patriots, because you held the standard was championship or bust. We're not in a championship or bust sort of mode right now, but it is crazy how we've completely changed. I'll eat this one myself. Early in the year, I remember people bitching about a loss. I was like, guys, who cares? I was like, May's playing great. You know, you got that guy. He's elevated his game. When they get more reinforcements in the coming year or two, they're going to be real right now. They're in great position. Let's not get worried about, well, if they had done this, they would. Now it's like, absolutely, you can't do that. You're going to cost yourself a game. Like there's certain teams you're supposed to beat now handily. And if you don't win those games handily, people are going to be like, what's up with these guys? It's complete. The whole conversation's changed tremendously over the course of just a few weeks here. And I think that this win is going to elevate it even further because, again, it's a good team. You haven't gotten a chance to play a lot of them, and you did everything you needed to win while still not playing a perfect game.
And if you want to look at this glass half full, which obviously we should be doing because this was a huge win, you walked into this game saying this is a Todd Bowles team that is very well coached, that's very disciplined, has a lot of veterans. They're going to be tough. Like, this is one of the most clutch teams. Baker Mayfield, I think, has as many, if not more. I think he's right there with Bo Nix for the most fourth quarter comebacks in the NFL this season. So you had to overcome that. And I mentioned, like, I didn't know how the Bucs were going to be able to move the ball against this defense with any consistency. And to be fair, I wouldn't say they moved the ball consistently. They did get near the red zone a couple times, and it was some really well-schemed plays. But even still, you were able to stop them from coming back. And this is a team that was very much known for that. And it's Drake Maye for the third week in a row going up against what I think we could consider elite defenses, where they are defensive coordinators that have been in the league for a long time. And these are a lot of veterans, but also some explosive young players. And he didn't look perfect. And I don't know that you expected him to against this quality of opponent, and also different styles of defenses as well. Like, the Browns aren't the same kind of defense as the Falcons were, and the Falcons aren't the same as the Buccaneers. These were 3 very difficult tests. And while we can absolutely be critical and say, hey, for a quarterback with as much talent as Drake Maye and for the highs that Drake Maye has, there's still some significant things he needs to do better to be more competitive. And like we said earlier, really snap their necks when you have them down. But he still came out looking pretty good. And if it weren't for the interception, which it was a big interception, we're not just saying it doesn't exist, but if he didn't have that one, right? If he didn't have that one big miss, you're talking about him coming out of this with another 100+ passer rating. So I know that I focused on the things that needed to get better, and there are still a lot of things about this team where if you are talking about a playoff contender and a Super Bowl contender, there are things that do worry you about their ability to withstand the entire stretch of the schedule. But we're talking about them in the playoffs and being a team that I don't know. They're going to be that team that everyone's like, oh, you don't want to play them. And I don't even are they even going to be in that conversation because they're still at the top of the AFC? Like, you can't even say that because they're not
sneaky anymore. They're a Super Bowl contender. That's what it is.
They're bleeping on the radar. They are wide in the open. And that's a pretty wild place to talk about being, considering even as optimistic as this show was. I think my prediction was like they'd be a wild card team, right?
It's a weird place. Yeah, Taylor Kyles is trying to calm you guys down. That's where we are right now. Yeah. Taylor is telling fans to chill out. Like you're too positive, guys. But let's be real. That's where we are right now. It's friggin' crazy. I think I have to consider them actual Super Bowl contenders. Is that is your head there yet with this team?
Super Bowl, Schmooper Bowl. I don't know. I mean, I don't really concern myself with that, but I will say that I take them with this game, and this is also, we do have to point out, and I even wrote my column on this last night for today about when I looked at the teams and I watched the films of the Bucs, and my headline was basically like, if we'll learn whether the Patriots are contenders or pretenders today, because they should beat the half Bucs and they should beat them comfortably, which they really should have. They had control of this game throughout, and I don't care what the final score is. It was a relatively comfortable win. Yeah, you had to sweat out that last drive with Baker Mayfield. But even with that said, even with, not having all the guys that the Bucs don't have, to win at this place in the humidity, in front of these fans, and there were a lot of Patriots fans here. Drake Maye remarked about that. Baker on the other side, I take them a lot more seriously now than I did the day before. I think this was a big boy win. It wasn't perfect.
Exactly.
Drake Maye wasn't perfect. You didn't ride his coattails to a victory, even though he made a handful of plays that made me say, wow, in the press box. So there's that element. But yes, I probably before this game, I viewed them as sort of like in that group of secondary contenders in the AFC. Like, I still have the Chiefs up there. I have the Colts up there. And there was one other team that I had up there. I forget who it is right now, but
it's not Buffalo.
It was Buffalo, before today. So I now put the Patriots up. I still think by the end of the season, it's going to be the Chiefs, who are the clear favorite. Now that they're getting healthier, but I take the Patriots a lot more seriously after today. I was impressed with today's victory.